Born on July 14, 1919, in Ogden, Utah, John A. Lindquist was born into a family with deep Utah roots. His grandfather, Nils Lindquist, was among the founding non-native settlers of Logan, Utah, and his family continues to have a strong presence throughout northern Utah. Play the hand that's dealt you, Lindquist learned from his parents at an early age, and you do it honestly, vigorously, competently, and compassionately. At the onset of the Great Depression, 12-year-old Lindquist witnessed a run on the banks in Ogden, and his father's business, Lindquist & Sons Mortuary, was on the edge of bankruptcy. Never turning anyone away, his father had accepted goods for payment, and exchanging funeral services for potatoes or a side of beef left few resources for the family. Upon his father's death in 1934, 15-year-old John worked throughout the rest of his childhood to help his mother support the family. Following the bombing of Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, Lindquist enlisted in the U.S. Army. Hoping to serve as a pilot, he transferred to the Army Air Corps and was ordered to Debage Air Base in Ipswich, England. Although the Army had enough pilots at the time, Lindquist joined the iconic 8th Air Force, 493rd Bomb Group, where he flew 28 missions as a bombardier and navigator on B-17s and B-24s into occupied Europe. As recorded in his extensive autobiography, the name of the first B-24 on which he flew was Shortbier, casket in German.
We had the logo, Adolf Hitler sitting in the casket with his bare feet sticking out the end, painted on the nose for $15.
While Lindquist was known for having a wonderful sense of humor, his wartime service was no laughing matter. He didn't share many wartime stories until much later in life. He was also described as having a keen sense of fairness and a fierce commitment to hard work.
There was a time when he was hot-headed and emotional. There was a time when he was probably childish and mischievous. But I think the war was the time where he matured and became a man in more ways than I can ever know.
This was never more true for Lindquist than on September 12, 1944, a day he recorded as the single worst day for the 493rd Bomb Group.
Our squadron was in formation and heading to our mission at Magdeburg, Germany, when a squadron of German FW-190 fighter planes pulled up alongside us, just out of gun range. They flew parallel to us for a few minutes, then pulled ahead and disappeared. After a while, we saw the 190s ahead of us some distance, now turned toward us and lined up in a wingtip-to-wingtip formation. For some reason, they decided to attack our low squadron in the formation. I was in the high squadron. In one pass through the squadron, every B-17 in the low squadron was hit and was falling from formation. All 9 planes were shot down. Not one of them made it back to England. All 9 crews, 90 young men, were either killed or taken prisoner.
John saw the absolute horrors of the air war in Europe, where you've got 100 aircraft flying in a rather close formation, and they're being shot at not only by enemy aircraft, but by ground fire. And he saw planes shot down where bodies were just floating in the air, and there were a great number of airmen lost over in the bombing formations.
He never specifically said it, but I very definitely had the impression that he did not believe in any way, shape, or form that there was some sort of divine predetermined outcome for anybody's life because of the randomness that he saw in the war.
Lindquist expressed many times that he didn't understand why some lives were lost during the war and others spared. Upon his return home, he attempted to counter the randomness of war with a sense of purpose, both during 16 years spent in the Air Force Reserves and within his own professional and philanthropic ventures. Together with a love of his life, Talitha, whom he called Tita, John Lindquist influenced education, business development, government, the arts and humanities throughout his community and beyond. His greatest passion, however, was Tita. For more than 70 years, Lindquist's life was informed and softened by his marriage to Tita, who was his partner and often the instigator of their involvement in community-building projects and events. His philosophy was that if you had the privilege of living in Ogden, you had to pay your dues. For his military service, Major John A. Lindquist received the French Liberation Award, Distinguished Flying Cross, Air Medal with 6 oak leaf clusters, European, African, Middle Eastern Campaign Ribbon with 5 Bronze Campaign Stars, and the American Theater Ribbon. Civically, he was recognized for outstanding leadership and business acumen. He served on the governing boards of many organizations, and throughout their lives, he and Tita provided substantial support to Weber State University and the community. He was also instrumental in the establishment and expansion of the Hill Aerospace Museum.
He believed in investing in the future, not just money, but in time and effort, to educate people, to make them aware of really what happened in history. The more you can expose people to the realities, the more they can gain a sense of reality.
Major John A. Lindquist left a long-lasting legacy that was shaped by faith, courage, and conviction. It was also shaped by a burning desire to make peace with war.
You go through life, and usually things are pretty routine. You have accidents, lost kids, bloody noses, downtimes in business, deaths in the family. Those things you expect. But I actually engaged in aerial combat. You see a guy out there aiming at you. The white gun lights. Shells hit. Flak hits. Planes on fire. Guys bailing out. And those guys, you know they're going to be either dead or a prisoner. 1 in 100 escaped. Some prisoners were murdered by civilians or military or died of illnesses. You go up and see that 35 or 40 times. You have a lot of close friendships with guys you fly with. Everyone respected everyone's position. We had a good crew and a good safety record, a good bombing record, so you tell those stories.
As the stories of Major John Aaron Lindquist continue to be told, he is remembered as a war hero, a perfect gentleman and friend, an honest businessman, and an admired father.
If he were sitting here now, I would hope I had the courage to say what I should have said when he was alive. I would tell him just how proud I was of the way he chose to lead his life. He wasn't perfect, but to me he was the perfect father. He was the perfect role model. I would say thanks for your service.
Major John A. Lindquist died on June 30th, 2013, in his hometown of Ogden. According to his personal flight records, he spent over 752 hours in military aircraft from the time he joined the Army Air Corps until September 1945. His contributions from the time he came home from the war until his passing cannot be overstated. He is buried next to his beloved Tita at Lindquist Washington Heights Memorial Park in Ogden, Utah.